So to talk a bit about the equipment you can use, and you really want to set this up before you get started so that you have it all handy because it needs to be sanitized. So I've sanitized my countertop, I've sanitized all my utensils. It's nice to have a plate to put any of your utensils on so you know it's a nice sanitized space. I like to have a variety of sizes of spoons to deal with the variety sizes of beakers. I tend to only use about 3 beakers, just thinking ahead about the different phases. So the biggest beaker will be for the oil phase, and this is when you add in your water phase into your oil phase. So you know that everything will be added to this one, so I tend to use the biggest one for that phase. The water phase is typically with glycerin, water, and you can add in your thickener. In this case, we'll be using xanthan gum. So I use the next biggest beaker for that. And then I have another size beaker for some of the intermittent cooling phase ingredients. And then for my really light ingredients or low percentage ingredients, I use the smallest beaker on my micro scale so that I can be as accurate as possible. I do use 2 scales. This one tends to weigh 1 gram and above. It's more accurate, 1 gram to 500 grams, whereas this one is 0.00 to a gram. So those finer, smaller percentage of ingredients I use on that. So it's nice to have it all set up in this way so that you can access your tools as needed and you don't need to worry about contamination. So once we have the ingredients weighed out, we can prepare the water bath. So as you can see, I have a stainless steel pot with, I just am using a cookie cutter as a trivet to raise the beaker off of the bottom of the pan. This ensures that there's a consistent temperature and there's no burning underneath. So what I will place on the trivet is the surfactants that I've added. So I've combined all 3 of them. And again, this is for a 100 gram batch, so it's not very large. This won't take very long. And I can place it there on the trivet and begin heating it, which I need to pay attention to the temperature and ensure that it doesn't exceed 70 degrees Celsius and try and maintain that temperature there. So I can turn off the burner as needed, and I just need to heat the mixture so that it becomes homogeneous with the rest of the ingredients. Now at the same time, we can add our water phase ingredients. So here is the water, xanthan gum, and glycerin, which I combined the glycerin and xanthan gum together, made a slurry, added the water to that, and now I can combine it to my mixture. So it needs to be held at 70 degrees for at least 20 minutes. So I will keep stirring, keep checking the temperature, and if the temperature does seem to drop, I can turn it back on again. But the water bath should suffice to maintain that temperature because we don't have so many ingredients. So as our mixture cools, so now it's about 50 degrees Celsius, we have a bit more time, I like to weigh out the phase C ingredients, so the cool down phase. These are all ingredients we can add once the mixture has cooled. So For that, I will be adding the nettle decoction and the horsetail concoction. I'll also be adding a calendula extract, a preservative, and some rosemary essential oil. So for this, we need pipettes. I found out that I need to order more, so I've improvised and am using some straws from our bar. That will help us to extract from each of the containers the small amount that we need for this formulation. There we go. And I can continue to do that. I will continue to tear the mass away and add the rest of my ingredients to the same beaker. This allows them to pre-mix together, and then I can add them to our B phase ingredients. The B phase mixture has cooled to 40 degrees. Then we can add our C phase. So I've combined the essential oils, the calendula extract, and the preservative all together. This also includes the horsetail and the nettle decoction. So I can add this to phase B and then gradually begin to stir it in. So as you can see, because of the nettle and horsetail, it has a slightly yellowish color. It is opaque. You can't really see the thermometer inside there. I guess you can as I bring it closer. And it's a bit runny, although this will thicken up as it cools. So we'll reassess again once cooling is complete. But now we can measure the pH and see if we need to add any pH adjusters. So I'm just using pH strips. This time I also do have an electronic meter, and we can see that it is turning the greenish color. So I'd say it's a pH of 8. This is quite basic, so we need the pH to be about 5. So we will have to add, in this case, it will be citric acid in hopes to lower the pH down to 5. So now we can see using the pH meter that yes, it is about a pH of 8. It's reading 7.9 within that range. So what I need to do now is place the mixture and beaker on the scale and see how much the scale increases when I add enough citric acid to lower the pH to 5. Using the pH meter, I slowly added citric acid, and I did bring it down to the meter reading 4. So I may have added the citric acid too fast. It is a small batch, so it's really temperamental with how you add things. So now I'm going to test it with the strips just to confirm. And it's falling within 5 and 6. So could be okay. I will test the pH again once the bubbles have settled to see if that has any effect. I also want to recalibrate my meter. So now that we've combined all of our ingredients and there has been some time to let the mixture cool, we can have an assessment of some of the physical properties. And as you can already see, it has a very low viscosity, so it's very, very liquidy, not ideal for a shampoo. So I would look back at my formulation and look at the percentage of xanthan gum and reassess that. When bottling, it's important to find a bottle that suits the product. In this case, with the shampoo, we have a cobalt blue plastic bottle. The blue is nice when using essential oils that are photosensitive and can be affected by light. So you'll need a funnel to transfer your product into the final packaging. In this case, as we said, it is quite liquidy, so it'll be pretty easy to pour the shampoo into our bottle. For packaging, here we just have the screw-on push top, and there you go. Getting closer.